Welcome to another episode of Analytics Corner, the AFL review. So the girls opened up what I like to call the extravaganza of footy. For me personally now, I have footy every week till October and I'm super stoked that I've got through the dreary cricket and tennis season. Now, it's rare for me in my football time, which is a decade now, of experiencing a relaxing game for a Carlton side against the Tigers. But the girls duly delivered that for me, and we can only hope that round one for the men's will be as nice and cruisy and relaxing. Now, when you look at Richmond's girls' side, it's their first year in the comp, and obviously you could see that the occasion got to the better of them. But they do have a super strong midfield, and for me, when I look at their list as well, it's kind of like they put all their eggs in the midfield basket. And the Carlton team really exploited the holes around the ground. If you remember my preview before the start of the year, I suggested that our midfield wins a lot of hit-outs to advantage, but they struggled to capitalise on that. Round one really showed, with Moody and Downey leading the way, that if you get good first ball and you use it well, you can really control and dictate the play. For me, the key highlight, as the highlights are rolling now, was pressure applied in our forward line and all around the ground. And it was really ironic for me as a Carlton fan to watch a Carlton girls team do a Richmond on Richmond. It was a real sense of mosquito fleet, real 2 or 3 girls to every person who got the ball, putting the clamps on around the ground and starving a very naive Richmond side of any time to use the ball. One thing I really enjoyed was the entries inside 50, and if we take a look at the graph there, although we were wasteful in the 2 quarters, it was really a distinct target by Dan Harford's side to really get the ball in, particularly on the flanks. And we saw a lot of entries in there and let Taylor being the main target with a cluster of speedsters around her to really cause anxiety. You can see we really focused our entries on them strengths, and that was really hitting towards people on the run. And if they didn't get the ball, it was to create contests around the ground, really good ground ball gets, and really lock it in until we left with a score, which we did really well in the 3rd and 4th. Pressure does define great sides, and albeit this is a new side, I think you're doing Richmond a disservice if you don't say they're very prepared. They are very, very well prepared. Some good players in there. Obviously, the occasion got to the better of them, but for me, this was a really good opening chapter into the story that hopefully ends with Carlton girls finally winning a flag. Pressure forces turnovers and errors, and as a result of that, the game grew, and Richmond were really guilty of self-imploding in the 3rd and 4th. If we look at my top 3 performers for me, we'll start off with Katie Loynes. She gets my 1 vote. Really put in a shift for Carlton yesterday. Was influential wherever she went. If she wasn't finding the ball, she was applying pressure. If she wasn't applying pressure, she was really getting in good positions and drawing targets. She kicked the first goal for Carlton, and she was a steady influence throughout. She stifled the impact of Richmond's midfield, laid 6 tackles and ended up with a goal for her endeavours. 13 touches was a real solid return for Katie, and it was a really strong game for her. 2 votes goes to Brienne Moody. Now, she dominated the ruck well. It was something that I talked about in the previews, that our ruck craft is fantastic, and her and Downey really conspired to really offer a strong ruck department. She gave quality first ball, and it was defined by her 2nd and 3rd efforts were really a highlight for me. If she didn't get it down to a midfielder, she was willing to do the hard yakka. 17 hit-outs and 3 strong grabs around the ground. She really was like a cruiser-type role. She was everywhere. She set the tone from the onset with a dominant performance around the grounds, and really was the benchmark to what the Carlton girls team is about. Pressure and aptitude around the ground. I've reserved my 3 votes though for a girl that I'm running out of superlatives for, Maddie Prespakis. Boy oh boy was that a great game. I said last year that she could set the tone for what Sam Walsh had that was possible to dominate the game, and he did. He really went and followed that, and she's now doing it in the 2nd year, and I know it's only her first game, but she's gone up a gear. The talent coming through the AFLW draft now is getting better and better each year, and Maddie is really a poster girl for young boys and girls up and down this country of what it takes to be a footballer. It's tough footy, class with the ball, and she has a wow factor. She had a dominant 11-touch 3rd quarter. She really dictated it, and she took some hard knocks in the game, real hard knocks, and just got up, dusted herself off, and influenced and answered back in the best way possible, and that is to dominate around the ground. She sent the tag really for a hot dog in the final quarters, And with a vivacious footwork and classy turn of speed and exceptional use, she read the game like a book that few have done before in this game, in this format of the game. Capped off a wonderful performance for me with a calm as you like goal. Finishing the game in the end with 21 touches, 3 marks, 5 tackles, a goal and a behind for her endeavours. And it was a phenomenal performance for me that if ever I'm giving out 3 votes, it was a tough one because there was performances all around the ground. But to me, Maddison really stood out. Now, player profile this week is Lalofi. Now, I was a big fan of her, and if we look here at a graph, you can see that you've got your pressure acts, the red for the mark and yellow for her touches. And her position and willingness to apply pressure was a highlight for me. Carlton transitioned the ball impeccably, and for a debutant, she really personified that. If she wasn't having the ball and getting them kick-outs, she was literally influencing mistakes, really was there all the time. As soon as the ball hit the deck, she was there cramming it into a contest. And you can see her proximity to play up the ground higher. She was willing to peel off her opposition and go to where the danger was, influence contact, bring it to ground, make it tough. And it's all about them kind of key facets, and a good transitional defence is to make it hard. Don't make easy ball. This girl for me will go from strength to strength, and as she finds the ball against the tougher opposition when the ball comes into our defensive 50, look out, because she's going to be one of the key cogs in that transition. Great turn of pace. We didn't see much of it last night. There was a few chases though where you saw her go into that 3rd and 4th gear, but when she hits 5th gear, she's going to cause havoc with her ability to penetrate with her kick and really take the game on. Now, if we look at the team stats, here there were some other performances for me that are worthy of note. Harrington was really fantastic playing down back, and then a few moments pinch hitting in the midfield. She came out with 13 touches, and it was a co-captain's performance as well for me. Really strong overhead. She took a couple of beauty marks. Was really impressed with her. Grace Egan really stood out as well for me. She may be small, but boy oh boy does she really attack the ball hard. 6 tackles. She really personified that endeavour and that pressure. She really is fiery. She really goes into the contest hard. Sarah Hoskin, for me, she's just a very talented girl. She really personifies what it means for me to play for Carlton Football Club. Playing with heart, playing with tenacity, really going for it. Taylor, to me as well, again, some real strong overhead marks, 6 marks. It wasn't probably her best performance, but she was very solid. She was a key target. She worked hard. Chase down tackle was an absolute highlight in the forward 50. Unlucky to get her behind there. She was everywhere, and she's really that firecracker. She draws players, and with our forward line, having someone to draw players to you, she naturally draws trouble. She really, really will open it up. Thought Pound played really well as well. She had a really solid game. Thought Van Dijk was fantastic in the back pocket. Vesio, classy as always, goal kicking. That goal she kicked was schmick. Brooke Walker took her goal well as well. Real firecracker, real live wire in the forward line. Real quick, good pace. Real opportunist goal. And them kind of goals, although they're not spectacular to watch, they're opportunists. And when you're an opportunist, opportunists breed goals. And I really enjoyed that. Georgia G was another one. And for me, I really, really enjoyed Joanne Doonan. We know I'm a big fan. She grew into the game. Unlucky not to get a goal. She really applied pressure, 4 tackles. And honestly, she's going to go from strength to strength. I was really excited. All in all, let's see what that translates into numbers. You can see we dominated with disposals. A really good kick to handball ratio. I was really happy with that. Free kicks did go our way, but for me, Richmond, when you create pressure, I hate to hear this, umpires favour a side. Genuinely, umpires favour the side that puts pressure on. And when you put pressure on, you make mistakes. The basics leave you. And for me, Carlton did that really well. Clearances was an absolute bath. It was phenomenal. And that sets the ground in next week is going to be a lot tougher. But there was enough signs for me to say that midfield cohesion is there. And for me, I'll stand by this comment. This midfield is the best in the comp when it clicks. And for me, there's so many tools around the ground to really cause havoc, particularly in the other conference come finals time. Inside 50 count was an absolute joke. And that was literally, I'll just bring the graph up again and show you. You can see it was these early entries into 50, catching them off guard, trying to go over the back of the defence. let the legs do the running. And that's what we did really well, kicking into space and really charging and creating contests. The girls were ferocious in the contested possessions. Tackles really high for a team that was so dominant. Really credit to the intensity we brought, and hit outs there. Quite often you see that from Carlton. Real strong ruck crew. Really, really good. And for me, the signs are good. Although it was against a very naive young side, for me, moving forward, the signs there are there. That high pressure game, Dan's got a really strong team and a really good ethic. This girls' team is going to only get better. That was the first game. There was a lot of ring rust. It's been blown off. I suspect to see a few more blowouts. And this girls' team really, for me, has the ability to go one better. I'm going to leave you with probably my iconic moment already of this year. A wonderful rendition of our beloved song. As always, stay navy blue, guys. I'm Dan. See you soon.
We're the team that never let you down. We're the only team on Carlton.